It's absolutely key for Trump to save face, and it is absolutely key for the Iranians not to be further attacked. This was a war that America could not win without putting boots on the ground. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard is still there, Hezbollah is still there, Hamas is still there, the Houthis are still there. Nuclear weapons are ultimate source of defense against an enemy. Well, this has become a real wilderness of mirrors, this Iran nuclear issue. I mean, for a long time, the Ayatollahs have said they don't want to build nuclear weapons. They're enriching uranium in order to develop a nuclear energy supply for Iran. The Americans, highly skeptical, after all, Iran has massive reserves of oil, so why would they want nuclear-powered energy sources? And therefore, the US is anxious about, and has been anxious about, Iran's statement that it doesn't want to build nukes. And you then add the Israeli dimension to this. And I think what changed after Operation Midnight Hammer last June, when American B bombers took out or attempted to take out the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, was that Netanyahu had convinced Trump that a possession of nuclear weapons by Iran represented an existential threat, not just to Israel, though chiefly to Israel, but also to the United States of America and American allies, including ourselves. And it was a great opportunity to make sure Iran could never have a nuclear weapon. So Midnight Hammer was launched. Trump said Iran's nuclear capability has been obliterated and everything seemed fine. However, it clearly didn't obliterate Iran's capacity to enrich uranium and therefore, in theory, to build a nuclear weapon. Israel was not satisfied with the outcome. And again, Netanyahu whispered in Trump's ear at the beginning of 2026 and said, let's have another go at them. And that's when Operation Epic Fury started, with an attempt to not just stop Iran from ever having a nuclear weapon, but getting rid of the regime of the Ayatollahs and its armed force, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and its proxy organizations, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. So that was all a big thing. Again, that war ended in what I think we can call unconditional surrender by Trump, by America, not by Iran. So yes, you're right. There is now peace. Peace has broken out. And people like myself always predicted this was a war that America could not win without putting boots on the ground in Iran. And we knew the American public, including MAGA Republicans, would never tolerate US service personnel being killed in large numbers in Iran, as they would have been had boots been put on the ground. So where are we now? J.D. Vance, flying back from beautiful Lake Geneva, has said it's a great deal. We're on the first step. We haven't built the house yet, but we have built the foundations for a permanent end to uranium enrichment in Iran, and so permanent end to Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons. And in addition, whilst the Americans in return have agreed to unfreeze billions of dollars of Iranian assets in the United States, that money, says the vice president, is going to be used to buy US agri-food, in particular soya beans that the Americans can't sell elsewhere. J.D. Vance has said this is Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner's brilliant idea. So it's actually win-win for America. It's a great victory as J.D. Vance portrays it. And finally, there is a suggestion that the Strait of Hormuz will be open. Now, that's if you talk to J.D. Vance. If you talk to the Iranians, it all looks different. For one thing, they said, well, you know, what me, Gov, we never wanted to build nuclear weapons in the first place. And we've been talking to you, and we talked to President Obama. And the only difference is you've killed the top two layers of our ayatollahs, but the regime is still standing. 90% of the missile launching sites in southern Iran are completely untouched by your people. You don't have the strength to take us with boots on the ground. And we will consider opening the Strait of Hormuz, but we're going to charge you for it. So what was free before and open has now become a toll booth, a motorway toll booth, bringing money into Iran. That's why I say this latest war with Iran ended in unconditional surrender, but by the Americans, not by the Iranians. I would just say two things that are worth thinking about. Despite Midnight Hammer, they never, ever managed to get those tons of uranium, 11 tons, I think it was, of enriched uranium that the Iranians had hidden from the Americans before the bombing started. Nobody really knows where that is. Now, J.D. Vance has said Iran is now committed to letting the UN's atomic energy inspectors into Iran to try and locate that uranium. And that would be a great thing and a good thing. However, that had been on the verge of agreement when Trump was talking to them before he launched the February attack on Iran. So it's not that great a change from what was on offer all the time. And the second thing is, do we believe that the Iranians truly don't want to build nuclear weapons? Is that what we truly believe? To be honest, I think it's very hard to have a definitive answer about that. Yes, nuclear weapons are, as we here in the UK know, our ultimate source of defense against an enemy. So it's the ultimate security that you will destroy forever anybody who attacks you. But is it thinkable that in the context of the Middle East against Israel, who does have nuclear weapons, such a deterrent would work? I don't think so. So, what Iran is interested in is revolution. It's a revolutionary Islamist jihadist regime. And I think in Iranian minds, nuclear weapons are kind of slightly irrelevant to the work that they do. You can't turn countries into Islamist republics, mad jihadi states with nuclear weapons. You can do it with terrorism, you can do it with propaganda, all that kind of stuff. You can do it with blackmail over oil, but you can't nuke people into it. So I suspect the Ayatollahs, have a very primitive outlook on life. What Netanyahu wants, and he's the Israelis at the moment, at any rate. He got elections in a little while, but he's still the Israelis. What he wants is perpetual war, permanent war. He wants to feel that the Israeli Defense Force can bomb and strike at will, particularly in the Lebanon. There's any trouble, yes, let's go and bomb the Lebanon. So he wants that freedom. Whether the Israeli people, or enough of them, understand this hasn't brought them security, it brought them over 70 years of warfare with their neighbors, and that it's a blind alley, that remains to be seen. So Netanyahu doesn't like any talk of a deal at all. He's going to be furious. And if you see him on the telly, he looks utterly miserable. He looks utterly broken, because Trump knows that he's got to get Netanyahu to stop his bombing. Otherwise, Iran is simply going, Iran knows what it has to do. Close the Strait of Hormuz, just close it. And that puts a stranglehold on the world economy. So Israel's got to pull itself together, stop bombing Lebanon, and then the deal works. And then what do the other side? Both America and Iran want this war to end. Iran obviously never wanted it. Trump didn't want it until Netanyahu convinced him of its being a good idea. Trump realizes he burned his fingers horribly. A lot of the people on whom he relied for his support amongst MAGA have absolutely turned against it. I mean, somebody like Tucker Carlson, who is incredibly influential, thinks this whole business is a complete madness. And the person in Washington who most pushed Trump to attack Iran, John Bolton, is currently awaiting detention in a federal jail for taking top secret documents home with him, so also discredited. So Trump wants out. He wants out at any price. And in my view, it's significant that he's sending J.D. Vance to lead that agreement, because Trump himself, does not want to be seen to be anywhere near an Iranian signing a peace deal. Yes, he signed it in Versailles, but that was electronic. It's Vance. It's Vance who's got to take the flak. He's the fall guy here. And when you come to the Iranians, yes, they are delighted. It's a wonderful deal for them, particularly if they never actually wanted to have nuclear weapons, which is a possibility in my view. So they're agreeing to what they agreed to anyhow. And even in having weapons inspectors, they did have them. It's like the Obama deal, even though you say that to Trump, he'll have an apoplectic fit. But essentially, it's what Trump has is the Obama deal. He spent years castigating, with one difference, that whereas under Obama the Strait of Hormuz was open, under Trump it is likely and liable to continue to be monkeyed around with by the Iranians, and that is much worse. But it's absolutely key for Trump to save face, and it is absolutely key for the Iranians not to be further attacked. Trump has done them damage. There's no doubt about that. But the Ayatollahs are still there. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard is still there. Hezbollah is still there. Hamas is still there. The Houthis are still there. And the Iranian regime, which is the bad side of evil, let there be no mistake, the world would be a better place if America had actually destroyed that regime, but it hasn't. The Iranians now are more secure under the rule of the Ayatollahs than they were before, because the Ayatollahs can say, look, the Israelis and the Americans threw everything they had at us, and we are still there. We have the last laugh, and he who laughs last laughs longest. That is Trump's problem.